There we go. Lovely stuff. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to our 6-part series with Hitachi Vantara. My name is Dalin Oliver. I'll be your host. I'm a stand-up comedian and I am a distant relative of Benny McCarthy and Desiree Ellis and Wade van die Kerk. They don't know that, but somehow or the other, we'll figure things out. There's a laugh in the background. Very, very keen and excited to be catching up with Hitachi Vantara's country manager and sales director, Dennis Naidoo. Dennis, what's happening, brother? How are you?
I'm all good, Dalin. Really good to see you again and catch up with you.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this series. And I believe that we have some interesting things to talk about. So, yeah.
We do. Before we get into the interesting stuff we need to talk about, I know you're a trendsetter, stayed and worked in many countries, including your home country, South Africa. Where in the world are you now, just so that we have an idea?
I'm in Johannesburg. The pandemic has clipped my wings, right? So, although we're resetting a little bit, I'm in Johannesburg where I belong, home with the family. And enjoying it.
I love that. I know you're a big family man, you're a big community man as well, but you're also a big golfer. And the reason I bring this up is because I want the people to know you've been with Hitachi Vantara for 5 years now. But in terms of golf, how long have you been trying to get that scratch handicap?
Jeez, I think I'll die trying. I've been playing now for about a decade.
Okay.
I really didn't like the game to start with. My dad was a golfer, and my first exposure to golf was being the caddy, which nobody really enjoys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd lug his bag around the golf course when he retired, and I really didn't like it. But then later on, when I started to play, I really enjoyed it. It was not a great golfer, but it's great to be outdoors. That's the best part.
Yeah. Favorite golfing memory, on or off the course?
Meeting Tiger Woods, man.
What? Tell us more, please.
Yeah, it's about a month ago. Yeah, I've just landed in a right place, right time. Got an invite to play in an invitational. Tiger Woods hosted it. I've got to meet Scotty Scheffler, Webb Simpson. I got to meet Sam Burns. Played a very limited field, 18 4 balls, and we came at 8. Yeah, so that's my brag.
I love that. As South Africans, we claim being famous by virtue of our friends meeting people. So because you met Scheffler and Woods, by virtue, I need you to sign my T-shirt or my golf club when I see you again. So Dennis, let's get straight into it. I know you're very passionate about what you do. You've been with the Hitachi Vantara family for 5 years now. Please give us insight into the journey and where it all started and where you're at these days.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. It can be a really long story because I can get into a lot of detail about all the things that make me happy, all the things that keep me playing. But I'll give you the précis version. I joined 5 years ago. I've been in IT for 2 decades, and the first decade of my career was in retail. And in 2 decades, I've worked for OEMs, multinationals, local systems integrators, and I was really not looking to move or change careers. And Hitachi came along, some people I knew, and said, don't you want to come join this adventure? And I said, yeah, let's look at it. And I looked at it, and the most appealing thing for me, Dalin, was the culture and the ethos of this business. 110-year-old plus, tried and tested culture of humanness, if I want to call it that just resonated well with me. And, after a long time in IT and being fixated on what I call value exchange. You find a customer, you understand a problem, and you figure out some technology that can help them, and then you make a bit of money on it. That's a value exchange. But I guess maybe it's old age or a little bit of maturity when you start to look at something's more important, like purpose. Because giving value to an organization is only as valuable as what value they get out of it or what value. But there's got to be something bigger than that, right? Yeah. That's where I found a really synchronous ethos with Hitachi that resonated very well with me about, can we do something that leaves a legacy, that makes a change, that impacts society and that helps people, helps the planet, helps, and that was the most attractive thing. So 5 years with Hitachi, multiple roles, South Africa, Dubai, back in South Africa. Part of the family now.
You're part of the family, and you mentioned 110 years. That's a big deal because you survived 2 pandemics. And not a lot of companies can say that. You know what I mean? And now you're heading into the, let's call it, post-new normal era with this fantastic ethos and philosophy of powering good. Give us some more insight into that and the reasons for it.
Yeah, look, powering good, forgive the pun, is very powerful, right? And that is the pillar of what Hitachi stands for. It is about making a difference and making something good. And not many companies would stand 110 years. In Hitachi, I think the longevity has always been about two things. Primarily, the one thing that has never changed is the mission of this company is to contribute to society, to the development of superior original technology and products, whether that's in trains or utilities or IT, it doesn't matter. That's the mission of what we want to do. And the second thing is Hitachi's always had a radar for what's coming next. What is going to plague us for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years? And this is where it starts to get interesting because it's hard to stay relevant if you're only looking near horizon, right? Things change so fast.
Yeah. You got to have your finger on the pulse all the time in this ever-changing world that we live in. We've seen it, globalization, more ways in which we're connected now more than ever. But bigger picture for me, and I say this with so much sincerity, so many of us have heard the word and the brand and the name Hitachi. We've heard Hitachi Vantara. But if you go to a lot of laymen, including me, on the street and you say, give me some products, a lot of people will and ah, and they're not sure. So give us the fact sheet. The need to know of this is exactly what Hitachi Vantara does, and this is what we're all about.
Well, the list is far too big to be definitive. So, look, there's a couple of pillars. So, we're very strong in the transport sector. Our biggest business is rail. Little known fact, we own and manage and run the Virgin Rail system in the UK, the underground tubes. It's done as a service to government, with Derby, across Europe. So that's a very big, we've got one of the top 10 fastest bullet trains in the world. So very big in transport systems, management thereof, scheduling, ticketing, security, NOC services, SOC services, all of these acronyms. We're very big in power. So, over the years, we've built power stations, from normal coal power stations to all the way up to nuclear power stations, and all of the things that go with it, transformers and stepped up transformers, all of that stuff. So we're very big in power, generation, distribution, automation, and even the transmission of the power. We're very big in agriculture and healthcare. So, we have different business units that look after those sectors. And then horizontally across all of that is where Hitachi Vantara kind of sits. It's the digital business. It's taking all of the IP from the field, whether it's in mining and old control systems, and bringing it into a modern world where a customer or society eventually can benefit from the analysis of what is going on in these places. What can we predict? What can we do better? Yeah.
You mentioned these layers of industry that you're involved with, and my initial question is, when are we going to the moon? When are we going to Mars? Can I get a ride with you guys? Take me to space. Is that possible?
Look, Dalin, I still think Elon Musk's a little bit eccentric, right?
Yeah.
If you ask me in the highest, in a list, what is the highest priorities? I would say, can we make sure everyone on Earth has got drinking water? Can we make sure everyone's got power and there's no load shedding? Can we make sure everyone's got food? Because, look, we have food. 100 years ago, a big problem was nobody had food. There was famine, Kwashiorkor, and you look at Africa, we had, places like Ethiopia and Somalia. Now there's no shortage of food. It's just access to food. That's the problem. So those are the things I would prioritize. And going to the moon it's not even on the bucket list for me.
Fair point. Fair game. I hear you. And why would you want to have a bucket on the moon? It's just going to float away. It's no gravity. Not going to work. So the megatrends, this is the word being thrown around. We know now more than ever data, crucial. This is the buzzword. But megatrends, give me some more details, some more insight. Make me understand this, like I said, as the person on the street. So when I chat to my friends, I go, this is why it's important.
Yeah. So, you dropped the word megatrends. And this is going back to how Hitachi has remained relevant and how Hitachi continues to strive to be relevant to society. You can't only plan for the next decade, because what you haven't done something now, you're not going to get it done in the next decade, right? Things change so fast. So the only way to help society is figure out what's happening in 40, 50, 100 years. Where will society be? Because those are the things you change now. Those are the things you fix now. And that becomes the solution to future problems, right? Now, you can't predict the future. That's clear. What you can do, though, is figure out what is happening, how has it got to where it is, and what is it likely to result in. And that's what we call these mega trends. So Hitachi, together with various international organizations, right? I mean, this is not a Hitachi specific thing, but the UN, the World Health Organization, World Economic Forum, they all study mega trends, what is happening with society. And a mega trend, by definition and academically speaking, is a pattern of movement that has major movement on business and society, such as globalization, demographics, urbanization, technology changes, climate change. They have lasting impact. So something that happens now or gradually over the next decade will have lasting impact on society and the way we engage. It takes place over a long period of time. It creates new opportunities in the short term, but those are tactical things that can be done. And the biggest challenge is technology and digital changing the framework of how you address those problems. 100 years ago, to address electricity problems was find more coal.
Yes.
In the future, that can't be the solution, right? It's how do you harness and store energy in either lithium or whatever the future holds. Most people are aware of these trends. If you talk about climatized, global warming or climate change or urbanization, people hear this. They know these things. There are articles, there's magazines, there's podcasts about these things.
Yeah.
Many people are aware of it, but they don't know how to plan for it, because most of us are so fixated on, can I make sure my child has a good future? That's all. We don't think about society. And that's the important part. These mega trends will have an impact on society for all time.
So we speak about society, and we speak about the crucial role of technology. We know great strides are being made in South Africa, in our home country, in Africa, and globally. In terms of those three tiers, how does it play out? Megatrends, South Africa, Africa, the rest of the world. You can speak about different continents as well, if you like.
Wow. So, look, let's go back into history then, right? So if you look at, the Industrial Revolution as a mega trend, the harnessing of machinery to do work, make things easier, cost-effective, and faster. That's how we solved the food problem. That's how we solved many problems in the world, right? But the countries that harnessed that, they were the ones that became the global economic powers, and they control the planet based on the ability to be ahead of the curve, right? So you take the Americas, for example, a very innovative society, lots of money spent on research and development, figuring out what to do. The first man on the moon, space travel, all of that. But will that be relevant going forward? No, you got to look at what's the next one, right? So in a global space, everything that happens in these mega trends will affect the whole world, not just Africa. What is important, though, is will Africa be able to realize what's going to change and be able to allow for that, be able to mitigate risks, to be able to harness certain opportunities. We have so many problems on our continent that we're so fixated on fixing today's problems. I fear we'll still be lost to the race, right?
I hear you. So if we had to identify specific megatrends that are crucial in a post-COVID state globally, give me like the top three or a handful that we're focusing on now to make sure that we're winning going forward.
Yeah. So, look, this could be a lengthy one, so I'll talk about it one by one, right? And then, look, there's a lot of mega trends. The top five, as identified by all of these people I spoke about earlier, are technology and technological breakthroughs. More advancements have been made in the last decade than in the history of mankind. Okay, storing data has just become a commodity. Managing data, managing just connectivity. It wasn't long ago where you had to own a landline phone. 30 years later, everyone's got a mobile phone. Access to information is pervasive. So the amount of data created in one day is 1.5 exabytes of data, and that's 1.5 with 18 zeros. And to kind of give you an idea of what that quantum is, you would, if one byte was a kilometer, you would go to the moon and back 3.4 million times. That's the amount of data created in one day.
Jeez.
That's a lot.
We are living on our phones and our laptops. No one could have predicted this. This is a
Well,
lot.
it's even worse, Dalin, because you think that we're creating that data because we're on our phones and we're on our devices.
Yeah.
We're creating this data. In 2017, for the first time, machine-created data exceeded human-created data. So these are machines talking to itself, right?
Yes.
There's a vending machine sending a signal to the warehouse saying, I'm running out of stock. No human intervention.
Does this mean the robots are taking over? Oh, must we be worried? Do we need to be scared?
I don't think we need to be worried. I think the point of this kind of podcast and talking about these topics is let's be aware, right? We need to be aware, not worried. Because if you're aware of something, you know how to work with it, right? So technological advances, now not just in the field of IT. Let's forget about IT for a second. Mining today is different from what it was, a labor-intensive kind of thing 100 years ago. Today, it's machinery that does it, right? Drones have taken over from surveying, testing water, surveillance, crop. That's all machinery now. That's technology. Previously you'd have to hire a guy to jump in a plane to fly over something, and there's a cartographer, drawing the map. Right?
Yes.
These are all being done with satellite images. So technology has changed things like that. Technology has changed medicine. Today a surgeon would be very hard pressed to recommend open heart surgery as his first course of action. You've got to be really critically ill for open heart surgery. In a life and death situation, literally.
Yeah.
Today, what 50 years ago, that was the norm. Today, it's stents. It's microscopes and it's devices that go into your body and fixes the valves and all of these wonderful things. And the most amazing thing is when the world of technology eventually collides with the world of biology and bionic human beings and bionic devices and nanobots and all of that's coming. Technology is just, you think we smart now and we've got lots of devices. I'll give it another 20 years time and then your kids are going to be laughing at you, Dalin.
I'm gonna be a fossil. I mean, we've already got vehicles parking themselves. You don't have to drive them. You're just gonna be able to chill in your living room and do everything, which you can already do. So, okay, so let's break it down, because with these megatrends, with all this progress, obviously finance plays a big part. So my mind goes, okay, we've got certain superpowers in terms of finance globally. Those who are at the top of the food chain are going to be in a more advantageous space, especially with investment back into the country, et cetera, et cetera. So globally, what does that economic power look like? And again, Africa, where do we find ourselves in this space?
Yeah, interesting question. So this is another big mega trend, right? Is a shift in global economic power. Now, the dollar is the standard, the gold is the standard. And also the fact that the Americas and the Western Europeans have made most of the innovation in terms of R&D and controlling the way society works, that's where the economic power lies, the buying power, the spending power, and the control of our economic systems, right? And that's been the default kind of, situation for decades, for 100 years. But gradually things are changing, right? So global economic power is shifting to the east. If you look at India, coincidentally, we've got an Indian prime minister in the UK, right? And from being colonized to becoming the head of state. So things are changing.
Yeah.
India is a superpower. Most of Silicon Valley is run by Indians. The MD of Hitachi Vantara is an Indian of Indian origin. Microsoft, these are all big companies. Google, these are all big, players. They're run by Indians. But India in itself has become an IT hub. The IIT turns out, academics and professionals at a rate that you cannot even believe. And they have a labor force to match it. They have the quantity and the quality. They can deliver services and technology across the globe faster, quicker and more agile than everybody else at a better price point, which means economic power is moving to India. They don't even have to sell to the rest of the world. They've got 1.4 billion consumers themselves.
Yeah.
So, and then China. China has always been very strong in manufacturing. And as a result, they've got a footprint across the globe in consumer goods, in manufacturing, in plant, in the utilities. And you just look at the cars and the vehicles coming up now, even in South Africa. Africa at one stage in South Africa, we built, I think it was 1 or 2 of our own models. Now we manufacture for these global Chinese brands, and they're taking the market like you cannot believe, right? I mean, it's not uncommon to drive past a Haval and a Chery and all those cars. 10 years ago, you never saw them. Economic power shifting to the east in the short term. Why do I say short term, medium term? Because eventually, economic power will reside with big corporations. And that's a trend that's worrisome, because it will be those that control the world economy, and those that have not will be just the servants, right? The outlook, but that changes the way you engage with society. Do you want to be relevant? Then, what do you have control of? So global economic power will shift, away from Western Europe and the US towards the East, but ultimately it will reside with big data companies, actually. The Googles of the world will own economic power. You can see what Elon Musk does, and he wants to buy Twitter. Why does he want to buy Twitter? Power.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And this is always the question I'm asking myself. Where's South Africa in all of this? Are we winning? Are we in a good space? Are we progressing? Are we making sure that we're staying on top of things, and if not ahead of the curve, on the curve?
There are areas of excellence in South Africa. I mean, South Africa has always turned out professionals in all fields, right? Even in the arts and even in comedy, like yourself, or the Trevor Noahs and famous guys. We've turned out really good talent in our country. One thing we're not short of is good talent. That's for sure. Stand up. If you look at even across the globe, we have become somewhat of a hub for low-cost IP, to be able to deliver services across. One of our big partners, actually, is the Center of Excellence for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, is based out of Cape Town. You look at even the big guys like AWS, Amazon, setting up big shop in Cape Town. So we've always turned out good talent. I think where we fall behind is investment in the R&D. There was a time when when Denel was the standard, and we turned out, we equipped armies across the globe. Aircraft, CSIR, we did good work, So it's sad, Africa and South Africa in particular. Some good spaces, we've got a good thing. We, for most of the major auto brands, we manufacture right-hand drive vehicles for Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Nissan, Toyota, Mazda. These all big manufacturing plants here. And then, of course, our primary industries, mining and commodity. They seem to ride the wave whenever there's an economic downturn. Recently, we would have been really, really economically starved if it wasn't for commodity prices, right? So economic power, though, the challenge is, whilst you might have some of it or a lot of it, it's scale. Can you scale to a global level, right?
I hear you. Look, I'm going to give you the real response, and that is, if the Springboks keep winning, we'll be happy as a nation.
Yeah.
So, Sia, you and the team carry a lot of our stress and our burdens on your shoulders. But Dennis, what I'm seeing is this little ripple effect, because we're going from your megatrends, and then you're slowly but surely moving into your global economic powers, and then as a result, you're going to have rapid urbanization, and there's going to be demographic shifts as well. Just give us more insight into this, and a bit more detail again to the person who's maybe not aware of the little ripple that it has, and the good that's coming from it.
That's an interesting one. It's earlier I mentioned that people know about some of these trends. It's been around for a while. Urbanization has been around for a long time. Yeah. 20 years ago, we were all talking about smart town planning, smart cities. 50 years ago, they were talking about that. So this is not a new trend. It's a mega trend that is reaching its peak and will continue to be a problem. Rapid urbanization brings with it many, many problems, globally and in Africa. Let's talk about globally. it means that burden is being placed on too few geographic locations. And that becomes a challenge because you got to deliver services. You got to have drinking. Like I said earlier, can we give everyone drinking water? But when you've got an infrastructure that doesn't cater for that, globally, you think we have problems in South Africa with water shedding? That's a problem globally, right? It's not a new problem for the world. They're just acting on it a bit quicker than us. We're going to catch up a little bit. But bringing water to people, bringing transport systems. Now, bringing transport systems carries other problems because they place a burden on your emissions. So you start to pollute the world because you're bringing more cars. So you got to have strong transport systems. Then you have security and safety. You got to start thinking about how do you make sure all of these people can live a happy life? Can they walk about? Then you got to think about green spaces. Is there a park for these people? Then you got to think about education. All these children, because every couple that moves into a urban place, they're making 3 babies, right? Hopefully,
they're
more,
busy.
right?
Yeah.
You got to cater for education for all of them across all the different age groups. You got to cater for policing. You got to cater for electricity and energy supplies. Now, with all of that comes people wanting more appliances, more devices. Then you have more power consumption. So rapid urbanization is something that is here for a long, long time. In another podcast, I'll go into more detail about urbanization and some of the things like, for example, what the Saudis are doing and what is being done in the Middle East and some of Asia. Those are really exciting things to do. But it's only if you're able to see that mega trend and understand what it brings to society, able to plan for it. So that was like the third mega trend we were talking about. And then you touched on the fourth one, which is changing demographics.
Okay.
So changing demographics is the age groups and the, to use the term loosely, the ability for someone at a certain age to still be economically active or actually active in society and contribute to society.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say the TikTok generation, but they're contributing. I don't. Do you dance on the apps? Do you dance with your kids? Do you do the TikTok?
I don't. I'm not a TikTok.
Yeah. I'm 33, but that's how I know I'm old. I call it the TikTok. Anyway, back to business.
Dalin, what do you think the average lifespan was in the 1950s of a human being?
In the 1950s, geez, interesting time. People were going to war. There were numerous challenges involved. Dietary requirements weren't a thing. Maybe let's go with just over 40, close to 50.
Yeah, you're spot on, right? So in the 50s, the average lifespan of a human being was 47.2.
Wow, it's young.
It's very young, but remember back then, the healthcare was poor. We've, subsequent to that, found cures for many, many things. We're able to help people live longer, all of those things. So today, what do you think the average lifespan of a human being is?
Geez. I mean, I've seen some articles locally and internationally of people living over 100, which is fantastic. A lot of people are saying retirement South Africa 65, but you're going to live longer. Let's go with 67. How's 67?
A little bit north of that, so somewhere between 75 and 80. That's where the lifespan is. Look, the numbers in the 50s were also skewed because billions and billions of people in Africa and Asia and South America didn't have access to health care. We had kwashiorkor, we had AIDS, we had all of these things coming through. So that's why the lifespan was really low in the 50s. Going back to the 50s still, though, the Japanese, the lifespan was very high. They had proper healthcare. There was the lifestyle contributed. Today, we're all aware of nutrition. We're all aware of exercise. We're all aware of all of those things. So lifespan is now, almost double what it was then. So if the trend continues, which it will, because remember, when I spoke earlier about the worlds of biology and technology colliding, today when somebody loses their limbs, they can't function in their job for the most part if their job was manual. However, going forward, you stick on a bionic arm, okay, with a couple of nanobots, a bionic leg, right? I know I can see you smiling, and I know where you're going with this because you're wondering what other organs can be replaced or enhanced. Let's not go there.
Every man's mind drifts, but no, I hear you. No, it's amazing what we can do. Yeah.
So demographics are going to be a problem. When I say a problem, actuaries have their hands full, right? Because the retirement age today is 65. And that was based on somebody, living a fruitful life till 75, 80.
Yes.
Somebody's going to live to 100. What's he going to do for 50 years,
Yeah.
or 30 years?
10,000 steps every day.
Every day.
10,000 steps.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Vitality and discovery would be happy, but that's. Listen, this is a problem because, currently my son's going to finish matric next year. He wants to be a mechanical engineer. And one of the things he said is he's going to have to compete with the guys in America and India and China because that's the global market now. And he wants to, he's going to have to compete for jobs with them. It's no longer about competing with his schoolmate or somebody at university. And I said to him, that's not your problem. Your problem is in 30 years' time or 10 years' time when you graduate, you're actually competing with your father for the same job.
Wow.
And in years to come, you'll compete with your grandfather. And the grandfather is probably more worthy to a business because he has not just the academic qualification, he's probably got the 50 years of experience as well. Okay?
Yes. And we see that happening more and more, where youngsters are leaving university and they're coming to a workplace. And what happens from there? There's an individual who's 50 plus in the same job spec, and they're going, but I should be here because I'm more youthful, which is it unfair? We don't know.
We don't know. So, I turned 50 this year. So in the 50s, I would have been 3 years past my shelf life. However, today I'm sitting and I'm saying I've got another 20 years of gas in me to work. And if all goes well, I've got another 20 years to enjoy my life.
I've met you and I've traveled with you and I've seen you on the golf course. You've got a good 50 plus years. Don't worry. Your youthfulness is there. So in essence, key touch points to leave with. And when I say touch points, I mean those water cooler moments when you're at the office, for those who are back at the office, those moments around the braai, around a barbecue for our international listeners, where they're speaking to people and they listen to the podcast and Hitachi Vantara comes up and we go powering good. What's the key points to leave with, to take notes that people need to know?
Sure. Look, let's put it on the two banners.
Yeah.
As a corporate citizen, in whichever company you work in, try and figure out how is this aligned to some of these things we've got to change in the world. And how do you make a difference in society through the place that you are in? Many years ago, I worked with a friend. We were in the same company together. Promotions was limited, and eventually decided to leave. And I said to him, why? He says, well, I don't like the culture of this company, and there's a glass ceiling and all of that, and we've got to change this. And I said to him, but there's only one way to change it: is you change where you are. Moving away doesn't solve the problem, right? So I'm saying if you want a water cooler moment, my advice to all my colleagues, whether it's a customer or peers in the industry, think about, how do you make society better? How do you bring that into your daily workplace with your colleagues, influence the people around you, and be that, it's a cliche, but be the change, right? Be that beacon of light. And then at a personal level, especially for, I have a lot of nephews and nieces finished, university. They're all looking for jobs and they're all trying to climb this ladder. And I said to them, and I said to them, it's not about that value you take to a company anymore. What's purpose? What is your individual purpose? What do you want people to remember you for? And even if they forget you, what have you left behind? What have you taught you? What have you taught your peers? What have you taught your colleagues or even your customers? So that's the kind of two banners I put it under. At a personal level, find purpose. At a business level, make a difference. Figure out something that's going to change the world. We'll talk about the biggest problem as the fifth megatrend in time to come as well, which is the issue of resource scarcity and climate change, and that's something in every business. Let's take one simple thing. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, Dalin. Doesn't matter. You can switch the lights off when you're not using it, right?
Yes. Easy.
That's an easy thing, right? So we want to change the world, but you just switch the lights off today, Just stop the tap from dripping today. Just drive less today, That's what it takes. Small changes, right?
I love that. And I love the notes you make about just start here. What's the purpose? From me, it's wearing shirts with feathers on that show that I'm on holiday all the time, because I want the person who I'm chatting to feel comfortable and wonder what on earth is happening over here. So I hope that my purpose was fulfilled over here, Dennis.
Indeed it was, Dylan. Indeed. And in the absence of that colorful shirt, your smile does it. Don't worry about it.
One. Dennis Naidoo, the country manager and sales director of Hitachi Vantara. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for chatting to us and for giving insight to the layman, the person who might not be in the industry and who was aware of all of these things, but you kind of summed it up and made sure that we become more aware of the world that we're living in and going forward out to make it a better space for everyone. Cliche, but true and important.
Fantastic. Darren, good to chat to you as always. And yeah, look forward to the next one, buddy. Take care.
Cheers, brother.